Hi, my name is Bogdan. I'm the owner of DNN Sharp. In this video, I will show you the new validation events that we added in Action Form 3.0. And I will start with a new form and go through several scenarios. So the first thing you'll notice, the new UI of the Action Form 3.0. Basically, we moved everything into this new admin. So you have the form fields that were before on tab 2, I think. And then you have a new piece called Form Events. Now, this was the Actions tab that in Action Form 2.0, but it was only for the submit. So you had this list of action that you could define only for submit. But now we've taken this out and make it configurable, so you can specify list of actions in response to other events, such as initialization event, or cancel, or on when validation fails. And in this video, I will focus on the validation piece. So let's say I'm building a simple registration form. So I'll just take most of the data out so that I don't have to worry about it. And then I will add a username field. I will, so it's username. I will set it to have an ID automatically. And then I will, in the validation, I will say that I require that the username is available and it's a required field. I save that. I go back to Action Form. So what happens now when I try to submit? All the fields are required, but then the username is required, but it also must be available. So if I put host, it will say user already exists, and it doesn't let me go further. And I will show you how I can write actions in response to this validation. First thing I want to mention about this is that you can only add validation events to server validations. So you see here on the right side of the validation section, you have only the server validation. So username field validates in the database, validates on the server. Other validators, such as email validation, phone number validation, are a regular expression that run also on server side, but the logic doesn't depend on the server side. Okay, so now I will write in response to the username field. I will say that I want it to display. So basically now you have two options. You can either display a message or display an error or custom error message. And I'll show you each of them. I'll start with displaying a message. So I just added an action, and now I will say the message would be looks like you already have a user account. Do you need to log in? And I will make this a link to the login page. Okay, so I'm saving that, and now I'll go back to the form. I'll try to submit, and now when I write host, it says looks like you have a different already have a user account. So it's the message I put, and I also have the link to the login page. So if I write admin, it will say the same thing. If I write something that doesn't exist, it will go over. Okay, but now you'll notice that even if I put this and it says that I'm already logged in, it will let me submit. But then when I submit, it gives me this message again, and it doesn't let me continue. So I cannot go past that. But this is like an informative message, and I will show you later how you can use a different action to actually make a submit, even if the data is invalid. But before that, I will also show to you the display error message. And I will basically copy the same thing. I'll copy it here. One thing you have to know about these actions is they execute in this order that they appear here. So if I take this by this handle here and I drag it atop, this one will execute first. So I will not delete the other one because it will never get to execute. I will show you why. So now I'm going back to the form, and I'll try to submit it again. So now you see it puts me the message, it puts it right here, it's in red, the validation failed, I cannot submit. So it's no longer an informative message, it's an error message, and I have to log in before going further, or choose a different username. Okay, going back to what I've told you before, you can actually ignore the server validation. So I'll just delete this, the error message. So it says displayed message, and then I can add a submit without validation action. So I'll just save that, and let's see how this goes. I'll go back to the form. I will choose an existing username, and I will submit anyway. Okay, so now the form has submitted, and I could actually have checking in out if I added a submit event. So let's say I will add a redirect to portal page, and I'll select, let's say, a different page, like so I'll put it to getting started page, save. Okay, and now I'll go back to the form, and this is probably not a good example, but I'll show you the other one later, the validation. So you see, I'm on a getting started page. This is the getting started page. Okay, I'll go back to action form 3, and now I will go through a more complex scenario. I will, let's say we need to make a server validation, and if the validation fails, we want to move to another form. We want to move the data to another form and save some data anyway. For example, if bank validation failed, then we want to move to, let's say, the leads table and save the contact as lead. Okay, so I will just maybe leave these fields. I don't care that much about these fields, because I will test only the failed validation, and I know this will fail. So okay, I will add a group validation. I will use the net cash validator, so it tries to validate the bank account. I'm saving this, and now when I saved it, you'll see in this validation drop down here, I have a new control called group on valid bank account. One thing I want to mention, you'll see the first entry is any server validation failed, and this is the default list. So if I add let's say redirect to portal page, let's say I redirect to action form 2, this will actually be executed if there are no redirection defined per validator. So if, for example, if this group 1 doesn't have any action, it will fall back to this one, any server validation failed. Okay, so let's get back to group 1. I think I added the group 1. Okay, and now I will add that if the validation fails, I will display a message, and I will say that server validation failed, bank account validation failed. Do you wish to save as lead? Okay, and now what I will do, I will add a different action called save state, and this will save my form state into the session. So let's say my saved form, and I can load this back into a different form. I can load this data back into a different form. Okay, I will just show you that in a second. So I'll show a message if the user clicks continue, then I will save form state, and then I can also redirect to a portal page or somewhere. Let's say I redirect to action form 2.0, and I will load my data there. Okay, I'm saving this. Now I'm going back test, I write some username that is available, and now when I submit, it will take a while because now it's contacting Netcash to check the bank account is valid, which is not, because there's no bank info in this data. Sometimes the service, the validation service will just crash. I just tried it again. So it will give me this message: bank account validation failed, do you wish to save as lead? So this is the text that I wrote, and if I hit continue, now it saves the form data into this session, and I'm redirecting to the action form 2 page. And now I already have some forms here that I think will load. Yes, so I have, you see, I had the form here that was configured to load state on init. So on init, it loads state from my saved form. So I can basically exchange data between forms through the session. And this needs to be the same key. If it's a different key, it will not work. And now I will get back to action form 3, and I will also show you what I tried earlier with the username field, and that is when the validation fails, that is group 1, I want to just ignore the validation and submit anyway. So I want to submit without validation. Okay, so now I'll get back to submit it. Okay, bank account failed. This is the message I put. I should have put the validation failed. Do you want to save anyway? And when you click continue, it will add that action. It will execute that action to ignore validation. And now you see the form submitted, and I was redirected to the getting started page, which was the action that I defined under the submit. On submit, redirect to the getting started page. Okay, and one final thing I want to show you is that, let's say I don't want to, let's say that I want to allow only administrators to submit without validation. And now you'll see this new condition field that basically allows you to write conditions with my tokens. And if this condition is not met, then this action will not get to execute. So I'll just take this example here, which basically says this is the token, has role administrator. If the token evaluates to true, then it will put me this message, it will return me this value true, which evaluates to this condition, which results in this condition being executed. So I will just save this. Save. And now I will go back to demonstrate that I can still submit that data on this. And then I will log out and show you how it's without. So I'm clicking continue. And now I will go to a different browser. And I will try the same thing without being logged in. This one works, so I'm back to the getting started page. And now I will try here the same thing. Okay, so now I will hit continue, but because that action will not get executed, I actually will not be able to go any further. So you see, I'm redirecting to action form 2, which was, I'll just show you, it was the action specified for any server validation failed. So it fell back to this action and went to action form 2 page, because, like I said, this action never executed because of the condition. Basically, you can put any token here as long as it returns something that can be evaluated to a Boolean. That's it for now. So you see we built here a mechanism that is quite scalable in terms of handling events, so handling events with a list of action. We still have a lot of work to do around this action, and maybe organize them and make some documentation on creating custom actions. And that's it. Thank you for your time, and I hope this helps.